Marshall in the middle.
Competent leaders know that the best way to create a solid organization is to empower subordinates. Okay, so that's what 622 said at the time. They wanted us to think, but we were told what to think rather than how to think. And we weren't really taught how to orient our thinking in any particular way. But if you go to the bottom paragraph, if I have a responsibility to develop you, then I have a responsibility to figure out the you, that unique, that particular way that you view the world. Because I'm going to need to know that when I decide which squad leader I'm going to put at a checkpoint, or which person to do a particular mission. So it may be that you guys are squad leaders in my platoon, and Will, I know you are a man of faith. And Joe, I'm going to hypothesize here. I'm not making any, don't personalize anything, but let's just say you're prone to action, not prone to contemplation. Okay. We're going to go down that road. And so I've got to go into a village that is questionable as to whether it's for or against. And I think to myself, who do I want to send? My guy who is struggling with his faith and struggling to understand how to treat other people, but it bothers him and he thinks deeply about it. Or do I want to send my guy in there that's just like, dude, I don't really give a shit. Why? But we're going to round them all up and we're going to take them all prisoner. We'll figure it out later. I don't need no. What'd you tell me? You wanted to run a cordon and search? Fantastic. And then just blow through the village, and whatever comes out the other side, well, that's what you get when you're having a war.
I love that, right? So, I mean, I tell a much more benign story, but one of the things that I noticed was there was only a certain subset of people that I could put on courtesy patrol in Korea, right? Because if I put a certain group of people, he'd have the whole town rounded up and hauled down to the MP station. And I had other people that wouldn't, that would look the other way about everything and would be trying to get free drinks and stuff. And, so it's interesting to think about, right, using the right tool for the job, right? And not that we think of our soldiers as tools, all right? But you think of your soldier as a application of power, which is what a tool is. And so it's very neat to try to one of the principles of training, use your unit in accordance with its capabilities, right? I had to look at each of my little soldiers in their little hats and think of them as their own little tank. And I need to drive that tank this way and drive that tank that way. And I had tanks that were trying to drive off cliffs, right? I started the I Love Bib program, and I had all kinds of soldiers and different things that I had to deal with as a leader that provided that I had to be very unique with my approach, very unique.
It required us to have to understand, kind of like what you've been saying, Jeff. We had to understand the soldier, understand how he was thinking, understand what he liked, what he disliked. That's what I learned. I had to understand who I had. So,
okay, and so here's the interesting point, Joe. When do you begin to have that awareness?
When there was big tasks going on, and it was like, hey, man, I need you to do this. I don't know if I could trust you to be out there for 24 hours, but that and working with others, when there was a conflict between two people working on the same piece of equipment, oh my gosh, man, I had to tie these guys together with parachute and make them walk around the field.
But my point is, when in your career?
I was young sergeant.
Okay. So how many years in?
altogether, probably been 4 years total.
Okay. So you made rank pretty quickly. You're having a successful little run of things. You're drinking Will's Kool-Aid. It's grape flavored and it's got a lot of sugar, and they're telling you you're doing good things.
Yeah.
And so you're memorizing all of that.
Absolutely.
And you're figuring out the first challenge of leadership is how do I lead my peers when you're a specialist or a corporal and you're like, dude, I still live in the barracks. We still get hammered on Friday night. But on Monday, somehow I'm supposed to be in charge, right? That's a small scale example of you're figuring out, okay, well, I can go to Marshall's room and just go, hey, dude, clean up your shit and we're okay. But I got to go to Fenlason's room and drag his ass out of bed every morning because if I didn't, he's going to be late every day. Okay?
Right.
Who
so
did
those
that?
those are all the observations that I observed over a period of time that made me, when it came down to, hey, I've got to make a decision on who to send where, I had to start looking at all those qualities, the different things that had happened.
I would then say to you, okay, what school did you go to that the Army said to you, okay, pick, Marshall or Fenlason, all right, for this job. Now tell me why. Never.
There was no schools, but there was a school that started populating. Master Resilience Training.
That was a big one for you. Okay.
I went to 2 different ones. Yeah, it was interesting.
Okay. So the science behind MRT is a little flaky. I'll just tell you that. Okay? It doesn't mean it's invaluable or not valuable. It means that it's a little bit flaky. Okay. But I want you to think about when you went to that school.
That was mind blowing.
Right. When you were a staff sergeant, sergeant first class?
I was sergeant first class both times.
Okay. So I want you to think about that. Now you've been in the Army for 15 years or however long, 12, 15, whatever.
Yeah.
So you've been screwing around playing this Army game for over a decade before anybody ever asks you, hey, Joe, how do you orient to this?
And it was a natural thing for me. It really was. It's natural for everybody. Come on. It's kind of like going back to when you're the new NCO and all your buddies are out partying on Saturday night, but you're not allowed to hang out with them. But we did,
So we fraternized.
Yes, we did.
Oh, wait, hold on a second.
Yes,
here.
I'm a bad leader.
Yeah, okay, but that's part of the other piece of this is it's judgment, right? So we're picking which rules that we're going to apply strictly. We're picking which rules we're going to look the other way on. We're picking which ones we do or don't like. Okay, go back, Will, if you will. Bring back up that OODA loop for a second because
Joe's a bad soldier.
We got to put all of this into this loop because how you orient to what you see Friday night on a barracks is going to lead you to a decision. I won't tell you about the time I won't have a story about the time I choked a CQ runner. But because he observed something, he oriented to it because he had temporary power and decided he was going to play hard. I decided I didn't like him playing hard and made a decision. We both went through it and we both had, so this is where this orientation comes in. You can bring it down, Will, because I much prefer seeing you guys up close. But this is a great graphic to use to understand the environment.
Marshall in the middle.